Hello everyone, my name is
Anna,
Julia,
Linda,
Marieva,
Madalena,
Lazar.
and we are DYouth.
Are you high? Are you low? Hang on there, you aren't alone. Here we come, here we go, the youth around the globe.
DYouth welcomes you to the new episode of the Diabetes Daily Podcast. Enjoy! Welcome. Please tell me something about yourself.
Hi, I'm Uroš. I'm 27 years old and I'm an attorney at law from Belgrade, Serbia. I've been living with type 1 diabetes for the past 13 and a half years, so essentially half of my life. I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 13 and since 2017 I've been using an insulin pump, and not so long ago I've started using CGMs on a regular basis.
How was your diagnosis? How do you feel about it now, and how far did this change?
As I said, I was diagnosed when I was 13, so at the beginning of my teenager life. It was obviously a big change and a big shock to myself, to my family, and my friends, and everyone who know me. The most important thing that happened at the point of diagnosis was a conversation that I had with my father, and I think all the people who know me know that story, which was essentially once I got the blood test done and they realized that my blood sugar was very high. They told me, like, pack your things and head to the hospital. You will stay there for a few weeks because you have diabetes. So I was at home packing my bags with my father, and he grabbed me by the shoulders and he asked me in a very, sincere way. He asked me if I was scared. I said, of course I was. And he told me that he was scared as well, but that we were Bogdanovic, like our family name, and that we will push through with this as with everything else. So I think that was, from the get-go, I got a very, I wouldn't say positive attitude, but a go-get-it attitude towards diabetes. Like, okay, this is a setback, but it's not a setback that I will allow to set me back, but that I will push through and, learn how to live with it, how to deal with it, and, make the most out of it.
What scared you the most at first with your diabetes?
I think that, the thing that scared me most at first was that fear of unknown. And that is what I tried to conquer, from the first day. So essentially, when I was brought into hospital, they explained to me that I will have to, prick myself, to use needles throughout my life. The second day, they gave me my first insulin shot. And it was in the morning. And when they came for lunch, I said, okay, give it to me. I'll do it myself because I want to get to know this disease as soon as I can. And one of the things they also told me that I could get out of hospital once I learn how to give myself insulin. So I was like, yeah, I will learn that. Just get me out of here. So yes, I think that was the main thing. But I think I had a very good team of healthcare professionals, of psychologists, my parents and my family and friends. I think I had a lot of support from all of those people that helped me. All the questions that I had were mostly answered right away, and they had information that was important for me. So I think that, initial fear of the unknown was somewhat, quickly dismissed. Of course, that was the first one. Now, looking back at it, it's very different. Today, my fears are like, how will I live for the next 50 or 60 years? How will my life look like when I'm old, when, all the things, that come up after living with diabetes for such a long time, how will my body feel? So, I think when you live with diabetes, you always have a certain fear what is happening. And I think that's normal, and you should definitely not run away from those fears, but attack them straight on, and just see what you can do to make the best out of that situation.
What barriers do you feel diabetes has created in your life?
I don't think I've faced any specific barriers because of my diabetes. At some point, I thought that my friends were avoiding me because I had diabetes. I couldn't find a girlfriend because I had diabetes. But it turns out those were just regular things that every teenager goes through. So it wasn't related to my diabetes. But if I had to point out one thing, so it kind of influenced what type of job I would be doing. I had a conversation with my parents. They told me, like, you obviously cannot do some of the things which are, like emergency services or something like that, because, in those lines of jobs, you have to be present 100%, and you can afford to have a high blood sugar or low blood sugar, something that would keep you from doing the job that you need to do at that moment. So that kind of influenced me into going into an office, becoming a lawyer, which I also wanted to do. So it wasn't just affected by diabetes, but also, for an instance, I wanted to be a pilot, and I really had great aspirations of becoming a pilot. I learned that, at that time, so in the 2010s, it was essentially impossible for someone with diabetes to get a commercial pilot's license, which is in fact changing these days. So exemptions can be made. So that is, I think, for all young people with diabetes who aspire to be pilots, that is an amazing thing. But in a way, I want to overcome that barrier, even though I've switched careers. I don't think about becoming a commercial pilot anymore. There is nothing preventing me from obtaining like a private pilot's license. So that is something that I want to obtain in the coming years. And when I do, I'll come back to this video, because I don't speak about that part of my dreams too often. So I'll come back to this video and I'll share it, and I'll say I got my pilot's license, even despite of diabetes.
Do you have a moment or history of your diabetes that you would like to share?
I couldn't say just one particular story, that's related to diabetes, because diabetes has brought me so many, different life stories and different life experiences, because of my leadership activities and the activities I do with a number of diabetes organizations. I've had the chance to travel throughout Europe and the world to meet so many people, and on each of those travels, on each of those meetings, I would get a story, I would get an experience that, if I didn't have diabetes, I wouldn't have lived through. So I think when it comes to my own diabetes, I cherish the opportunity to have had such experiences, just because I have a certain disease, and that is my way of making the most out of a, let's say, bad situation of having a disease.
What was your personal power secret to keep on and fight?
When life with diabetes becomes hard, it's difficult sometimes to find something that will, push you through. It's the same in my experience. But what keeps me going is that it's just knowing that I have to push through. I mean, there is no alternative. The alternative is something that I don't want to talk about. So I cannot, I don't want to think of the alternative. Of course, I will find, a means which will help me push through, whether it is, talking to a friend, talking to my doctor, just sitting alone for a day, just, letting it all out, whatever it is. I think, it's just finding something that will help me push through, because I'm not a quitter. I mean, none of us are quitters, because we have diabetes. We know we have to push through. And I wouldn't say I have a specific power move that I do. It's just something that I have to find at that point when, life gets a little bit too hard, and it can be anything. Sometimes I find something that helps me push through, even though I wasn't looking for something, even though I wasn't expecting it to happen. It can be just, getting drunk with some friends. It can be sufficient at some time.
What is your dream for the future of diabetes?
To me, the future of diabetes is just, lowering the burden of diabetes on, the person living with diabetes. And, that being said, my blood sugar is going up and my pump is beeping at me. So I think that is the future of diabetes. Just having the technology that will, move that burden away from you and onto someone or something else. Not someone, something else. The devices that we use. Of course, I would like to be cured in 5 years, in 10 years. I wouldn't mind it at all. But in a more realistic way, I think that the future is the technology that will help us achieve the best diabetes management that we can achieve by removing that burden and those day-to-day obligations and all of those choices that we have to make in our daily life with diabetes, and all the calculations and all the decisions. So I think for me, that is the future of diabetes.
What message would you like to leave? What is your conclusion?
My message to everyone watching this would be to find, the things within diabetes that, make you feel better of having diabetes. So to make something good out of that condition that you have. That is, of course, if you want to go in that direction into, engaging with diabetes organizations and, other people with diabetes. If not, I would just, ask you not to hide your condition, not to, try to get away from it, because I think that eventually you will fail. I mean, you will have to face it at some point, and it may be too late when you decide to do that. So as soon as you can, you should embrace it. You should, face it the best way you can. Learn how to live with it, how to deal with it, and then proceed on with your life without diabetes creating any barriers for your life.
Are you high? Are you low? Hang on, there you are until low. Here we come, here we go, the youth around the globe.
DYouth thanks you for receiving this episode of Diabetes Daily. We hope you like it. Thank you for your support. If you feel like sharing your own story, check out our show notes on how you can do so. Until next week, we wish you good blood sugar.